Of all the members in Batman's Bat family, there is none with a more complicated past and history than Jason Todd.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Thomas.
I'm Merlin.
Together we're the Comic Lads, and today we're talking about the problem with Red Hood.
Red Hood, we know that he's a fan favorite.
We understand that he is a fan favorite and how much love he has, and I think me and you do have some measure of love for Jason Todd.
For sure. I mean, I don't hate Jason Todd by any means. No. I'm more just so frustrated with the fact that DC Comics, DC Editorial, seems to be in the cycle of abuse with Jason Todd. We're going to be getting into it, the history of Jason Todd, why we have our qualms with his development throughout the years.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, question of the week, how do you feel about Jason Todd?
Yeah, are you happy with his current place in DC continuity? And this means that you have to acknowledge Batman Hatoosh. And make sure to drop a like on the video, really helps us out. Subscribe if you have not already. Become one with the Comic Lads.
Become a fellow lad. We're gonna get into the history. It obviously all starts back in the 80s with one of the most infamously famous comic books of all time,
Batman Death in the Family. This is the story that everyone knows where the Joker kills Robin. I don't think they knew that he would become like the second pillar of the Bat family in the 21st century.
Yeah, and most people's favorite DC character of all time. It's so funny, like
crazy.
You fast forward 30 years and they're making like millions a year off of Red Hood toys and merchandise.
Listen.
But obviously, that was the start of it all. Jason Todd was kind of thrown out of the picture because he wasn't very popular as Batman's Robin at that time.
Yes.
Tim Drake, the channel's favorite Robin. Well, kind of flip-flops between Tim Drake and Dick Grayson.
It's Tim Drake.
It's Tim Drake? Okay. It's officially Tim Drake is the Robin of Comic Lads.
Yes. Doesn't matter to anybody.
Yeah. This is big news in the comic world today. Yeah. And Jason Todd was out of the picture for a good couple of decades there.
Yeah. And then we got Under the Red Hood. So this is a story that I think is like overly praised.
I love the concept more than the actual read itself.
I do too. I think anybody is kidding themselves if they think the book is better than the movie.
I was gonna say, dude, the movie,
it's written by the same guy.
Yeah.
But the movie destroys the book.
And that's what I mean, like the concept, it's so much better executed outside of the comic. I'm speaking for both of us, like Batman Under the Red Hood, the movie, is top 5 best DC animated movies of all time.
It's top 2 best Batman animated movies of all time.
Yeah, it's incredible. If you guys don't know about that story, you know, Red Hood, he comes back as a prominent villain in Gotham City, kind of cleaning up very ruthlessly, gunning down criminals.
Using the Joker's original moniker from pre-Joker times, when he was the Red Hood, and he's kind of like using it to spite Batman, I want to say.
It's empowering for Jason at that point because like him like adopting that and making it his own and like taking that abuse and wearing it on his sleeve.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Joker in that story, there's like a great moment where he brings the Joker in front of Batman.
And he's like, listen, I'm going to toss you this gun and you're going to kill me or I'm going to kill the Joker. You're going to make a choice.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, it's always been, as we're going to get to further down the line in this video, this conflict of ideologies between Red Hood and Batman.
Yeah.
On like if criminals deserve a second chance in Joker's case, you know, a 100th and like whatever 1000th chance. But that is where you can kind of feel the compelling argument on Jason's behalf.
Yeah, and I can understand where a lot of people's love for Red Hood comes from, because I know a lot of comic book fans have an issue with Batman's ideology and think that he should just, you know, like get rid of his villains.
Snyder fans.
For sure. But like, we don't agree with that, but I also don't think we can condemn that take because it's valid.
It is valid. Anyone who fully believes that and supports the versions of Batman that are like that, I'd say aren't
Batman fans.
Yes, exactly.
You're Punisher fans,
yeah,
or Red Hood fans. And you know, that ideology works and it has a place in the comic book realm. It just completely contradicts Batman. And that's why Jason likes it so much, because he's so angsty and pissed.
And you know, despite Jason being kind of portrayed as the antagonist of that story, there are moments where they work together. Like, where there's this one sick panel where they're getting jumped.
When they're fighting Captain Yahtzee and the hyena.
God, yeah.
Just shitty pair of villains.
Yeah. And Batman's like, shut up and fight. And they like take them down, and it's really sick. And so by the end of that, it kind of seems like both of these individuals are extremely hurt, but maybe there's a hope for a good future between them.
Yeah, or he's just gonna stay as a villain. And then it certainly seems like the latter when we move to stories like Battle for the Cowl. This takes place in the era of right before the New 52, when Batman was presumed dead, and the whole Bat family was like scrambling, like, oh my god, who's gonna get the mask? I wanted it for me.
You get like Tim Drake in the blue like 70s fit.
Awesome.
It's so awesome.
And then results in a few different Bat family characters trying to take up the mantle of Batman, one of which is Jason in this fucking, like, I don't even know how to describe his costume, but it's so grimdark and edgy, and
it's so edgy.
It's so edgy.
Yeah, he comes out as like a freaking evil version of Batman.
Yeah, he's Batman with guns and red eyes.
So of course this is yet another story where it's like, oh yeah, no, he's a villain. We're at the very like best.
He's an antagonist to our main Bat family character.
Yeah, and like a very savage, brutal anti-hero that needs to be stopped.
Yes. They really tried to just like hammer him home as like this heinous villain, and I think this was during Grant Morrison's Revenge of the Red Hood arc. This your favorite writer.
If you guys have watched the channel's history, you know that like Grant Morrison is a writer that I have a feud with. Yes. Like, I hate some of the stories that have come out of that person.
I absolutely agree. Listen, they've written some of the greatest books of all time, and then some of the most ridiculous and absurd books of all time.
Yeah.
I cite Final Crisis. But yeah, then like Red Hood was a villain, and then he like ended up getting incarcerated into Arkham Asylum, where he killed 82 inmates.
Yeah.
And also talked some into offing themselves.
It's crazy. This manipulation at its finest.
Unforgivable if I'm Batman, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Stay in there.
Yeah, and a lot of people like forget, and like Jason Todd sympathizers, like obviously you can understand where he comes from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like,
no, some of these actions are heinous.
Yeah. Due process thrown out the window.
Yeah, I know.
It's freaking crazy.
People are like just comfortably chilling in their cells, and then like Red Hood just injects them and they're dead.
Yeah. So once again, Jason Todd, I mean, I would say you're straight up just a villain at that point.
Absolutely.
82 bodies during one prison sentence. That's not even fully carried out. It's like,
that was, I feel like, Jason at his very lowest.
Yeah.
Like, surely it must be. We haven't read every single Red Hood comic that's ever come out, but I refuse to believe that he's been worse than that. And then we got into the New 52, where DC rebooted their entire continuity, except for a lot of it. They were like, you know what? Let's give him his own book, and let's call it Red Hood and the Outlaws. Let's give him a team. And it was Red Hood, Starfire, and Arsenal.
Let me tell you something. I did not read that book for the plot.
No, but like, what do you expect an 11-year-old to do with that book?
The most insane, you know, I don't even know if we can show the pictures. We might have to blur them. Yeah, okay. But yeah, that book, you know, painted him, like you said, as a kind of anti-hero / more leaning to full-on good guy.
Definitely. And that book was a good time. My favorite thing that came out of that book was his friendship with Roy Harper, Arsenal. That has stuck to this day, and I just like them as a duo. It's just fun.
Yeah, my least favorite thing to come out of the book, painting Starfire and Jason Todd as like a potential couple.
Yeah,
so gross,
get
dude.
that the hell away from me forever.
Yeah, I mean, we love Barbara Gordon and Nightwing together the most, I think.
Yeah.
But like, we obviously know that Corey is his like number 2, almost at number 1, like bridging, tying with Barbara Gordon most of the time.
Absolutely. And it's just like, it's not like we have like some kind of like weird gross like, oh no, like she belongs to Dick. Like, no, she's like,
it's not the fact that she's with someone else, it's the fact that she's with Jason.
Yeah, it's icky.
It's like Dick's basically like his little brother.
I hate it so much.
Yeah. And then we got books in the New 52 like Death of the Family, where, you know, we have that gnarly freaking Joker design with his cut off face, and he like fucks with the Bat Family.
And makes them think that he cut all their faces off.
Yeah, and it kind of introduces Jason Todd back into the Bat Family as like a prominent loved figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, once we got into the New 52 Batman crossover stories like Hood the Outlaws and, like you said, Death of the Family, Jason was kind of just like there. And then when you do see him interact with the Bat Family members, there's like a lot of tension, and you can tell that it's strained. So you're really not even sure if there's been any development between pages or between panels. Honestly, like, it just left me kind of confused. When I was reading those crossovers back then, 5,000 years ago, you know, this is cool. I like seeing Jason here, but it's also like canon breaking for me, because I feel like there's been so much turmoil that they're just not talking about, and he's just like here because technically he was a Robin.
And there have been times where their relationship has relapsed and Jason has gone too far with the criminal, and Batman's had to come back and like put him in his place.
That's actually been like fucking dozens of times.
Yeah, it's been so many times, and that's like the main crux of this video, is that he has these moments of character development where you're like, oh, you know, we're getting somewhere. Is he gonna be like a full-on hero again? Is he coming back to the quote-unquote light of the Bat Family?
No, he's gonna lead the League of Assassins.
The legacy of Red Hood at this point is that we don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's like the ship of Theseus. I'm like, are any of these pieces like the original Red Hood? I don't know.
Yeah, and then, you know, we get to like different stories up until recently where Jason actually confronts Batman and says that he's gonna like finally adopt his ideology and be like, oh, I'm using rubber bullets now, but even that, like,
I'm giving up the guns. And it's like, it's not for you, Bruce, like, it's for me. And you're like, fire, awesome.
Yeah.
Character development for Jason. Literally his next book, he's fucking on Task Force Z using guns. It's just like, can you guys let something stay ever?
Yeah, and I wonder if it's like a miscommunication problem at DC Editorial, where one writer will do something with the character, and then another subsequent writer will come in without doing the research. I mean, I'm just theorizing right now.
Sure.
And just pick off where that writer thinks the character is.
It could be what you just said, where they didn't read it, or it's that they did read it and they don't fucking care, which is every subsequent writer that takes over a book from a previous writer. And it just feels like this never-ending cycle, because we get really high periods of Red Hood's history where, you know, he's with the Rebirth Outlaws, you know, he makes friends with Bizarro and Artemis, and it's a great time, and he feels like he's really coming into his own as a hero. And then you get things like most recently in Chip Zdarsky's Batman run where, bear with me guys, Batman's mind is taken over by the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, which is like his dark alternate personality, and he uses this contingency plan against Jason where he fucks with his mind and makes it so that whenever he is filled with adrenaline, or he wants to fight, or he wants to kill someone, he'll become paralyzed with fear, so he won't be able to do anything. And Batman explains this as like, listen, I'm not like throwing you in jail, you're my son, I love you, I care about you, but you're also not going to be able to hurt anyone or yourself ever again. And I'm like, what a supreme disgusting violation, Bruce.
Yeah, Batman has continuously shown us time and time again that he's kind of an asshole.
Yes, it's like, and you can argue that it's his evil, stupid personality, but it's like Batman made that stupid personality as a contingency for something else, you know? So it's like,
yeah, he's still responsible for this outcome.
Fully responsible for Zur-En-Arrh, you know? Later in that arc, they finally reconcile, and like Bruce doesn't even apologize, but Jason's like, you know what, Bruce, I'm gonna be the bigger person here, I forgive you. And you're like,
yeah, I'm gonna do your emotional character development for you.
Quite literally that. Okay, maybe we're going somewhere, maybe now, maybe we can get good Jason and have him stay for a while. And then we get Batman Hatoosh.
Jason shows up in the story. Batman is nursing the Joker back to health in the Batcave.
Because he's his best friend.
Yeah, they're besties. And Jason shows up like we've never left after Under the Red Hood.
Like it's literally
a sequel.
The first issue after Under the Red Hood. And he's like, you saved the Joker's life? What the fuck, Bruce? I'm gonna shoot you. And Bruce is like, I'll fucking shoot you too. And you're like, what am I reading?
Yeah, it kind of character assassinates both of them in one fucking page. It's ridiculous.
And like, listen, I totally get that, like, I don't think Jason and Bruce will ever agree on the Joker. And I think that's fine. Because he's so deeply affected Jason and like his whole ideology and his upbringing and everything. But to write Jason as like supposedly working with Hush, tell me you haven't read a single book about Jason since Under the Red Hood without telling me.
For me, it's kind of a disgusting story point too, that they always paint Jason Todd as one of Batman's sons, but they're constantly just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand, you know, it's a comic book, there's gotta be action in there, but sometimes I'm just like, guys, can we just like sit down and talk about this?
Yeah, can I not watch Batman backhand his son in every single interaction they have with each other?
For me, it's gross. Like,
It is gross.
A father and a son, a parent and a child would never do this to one another. They wouldn't automatically first response resort to violence and shooting each other in the face.
Yeah, Jason's greeting to Bruce is like a gun to the back of his head. And I'm like, no, man, they were literally just shaking hands like 3 months ago in the comics. What are you doing?
Why are you shooting your son in the face?
Can't you just not pick up the gun and shoot him, Batman?
And so it's actually, this video started out as like a rant about Red Hood, but Batman's as much of a victim to the writers as Jason is in these stories.
And you just said it perfectly. They're both victims of DC editorial, not letting them mend their relationship. And it's like, listen, man, like, I know we want comics to be cyclical and never ending, but can we at least have them reconcile? It's not going to ruin continuity and make us feel like Batman's old if they just are cool forever.
I agree, and you can still have Jason as the kind of bad boy anti-hero of the Bat family.
For sure.
But just constantly hitting them against each other as enemies, and then within an arc or two later, giving each other pats on the back and saying how much like their relationship means to one another. It's just, it's frustrating as a viewer / reader of this material.
I totally agree. And it's like, you know, if you can reconcile brutal, murderous characters like Damian and make him a fan favorite, you can do it with Jason, man. It just, I can tell that they don't want to. And I'm kind of sick of it.
I'm sick of it.
Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Are you happy with where Jason is currently in the DC universe and as part of the Bat family? Let us know.
If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and we love you dearly.
We love you.
Peace.
Peace. Peace.